it.
Yeah.
Well, you seem pretty calm and cool.
Yeah, but this is just my appearance.
Uh, it's all right. It's all right. Let's give it a couple more minutes. Oh, here it goes. It's starting to come on now. All right. Um, so, Dorota, how did this happen? Did we message you or did you message us or?
I messaged you last week,
Okay, yeah, on
a
the
week ago. Yeah.
okay, yeah. And
I had this, I was thinking to write to you about 2 years ago.
mm,
Yeah. This talking to you with you on live, it's for me like stepping out to the world. I do my work here in Poland, but speaking English about so deep things, it's like, wow, I'm getting out from my cave and the whole world will see me, this is kind of, my ego is even chattering in English during this week, so it's fun.
your ego is talking in English.
Yeah, in English, I find out that I have English speaking ego, so
So, well,
it's
it gave you
it's
practice.
funny.
You were practicing for today, so you had someone to talk
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Um, yeah, well, that's awesome because that's what's happening now. Women, in particular, are stepping up and being heard. Now, have you done a show like this or a video in on a Polish speaking?
Yeah, I did a few
Okay,
years ago.
okay,
Yeah, and this also was for me like,
mm,
this trembling in the body. For me, whole my journey was like stepping out and saying truth, who I am, what I have to say, what I experiencing. So opening the throat, singing, and all the stuff start to just blowing up
oh yeah,
when I take courage to stand and say to the world, here I am,
wow.
and this is my experience.
This is awesome. So this is what we're going to do today. This is what it's all. This is what it's all about. So when did you wake up? Did you have a wake up experience?
Oh, I was quite a wake up little girl. I could feel lots of things around me, like beings.
Mm.
I could hear many things, sounds, and so on. But um, there was time when I just shut down. I was very shy, and I had problem just to go to the world and have fun with people. I always felt that I see world differently, and I just give people just a little piece of myself. So my teenage time was really hard for me. It was like
Mm.
stepping into my dark time, or like dark night of the soul.
Wow.
So, and it took me a few years. When I had 20 years, I remember that I had sexual abuse when I was a little girl. So that was really first time when I went into meditation, because I asked myself, why do I hurt so much myself?
Mm.
Taking these decisions and doing things which I done that time. And I receive answer, I saw this film coming back from my time when I was 4 or 5 year old.
Mm.
And I saw this film, and it was like, wow, this is what happened to me, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it took me another few years to just wake up from this state that I'm really unhappy. I didn't want to live, and and it was a day that I just understand that nobody can give me happiness.
Yeah.
This is my role to take the steps. So slowly I started to remember things which make me happy when I was little girl. So I come back to painting, and when I was little, I was massaging my grandma, and she could feel better. Her parents pains from the body disappearing. So
Mm.
I started looking my way in this massaging therapist and so on. So that was part of my awakening also. I had this long-term 10 years relationship with father of my daughter. It was really dense karmic relationship. And you know, he wake me up because I had huge ego. I was close myself in you know, in my mind, in things which I thought about myself. I didn't want to step to the world and do things which make me happy. So he was showing me this. I felt in that relationship that I'm like the bird in the cage, you know. So I find out that he will not make me happy, that he was just suppressing me, and I knew that I have to take a choice. If I want to live, I have to choose to live. So I started doing these steps, and there was a day when I quit smoking, you know. I was smoking a lot, and after quitting the smoking, a few months later, I had this thought, oh, I wanted to be fit, doing some good things, but always I was drinking alcohol and other stuff. So I said to myself, okay, maybe that's the moment. And I went for my first yoga class, and I was just falling in love with yoga. I felt like the energetic channels start to open up in my body. I felt like an angel flying in the street. So that was kind of my awakening. It was,
Wow.
I don't know, maybe.
I've never heard somebody explain it like that. That was incredible. So basically, you're about 20 years old, and you start to open up or meditate, and this information, this memory that was hidden about the child abuse comes back to you, and then it starts you on this path of understanding why you're doing at 20 years old the things you're doing, like so many of us. Starseeds are wild asses, you know. But yeah, seriously, I mean, so you actually were examining your behavior at 20 years old. You traced it back to the trauma that so many people could relate to, and you turned it around. Then you had, and still you're in this 10-year relationship, and you see the value of what he was showing you, I guess is what you're saying. Plus, you found your power and left, and found yoga and so.
Yeah, but you know, he left me.
Well,
it was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy relationship. He was make me keep me for himself, and I give birth to our daughter, and he left me. He went to Asia, and he's still living there. So it's a bit crazy.
Sounds normal to me. It sounds like a. So, how long ago was it that you got to the point where you discovered yoga?
It was 2006. Yeah, I was 26-year-old.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it was, you know, it was quite fast for me because I knew that I need to teach yoga, that this is my path. So when I started practice yoga, I really started to change my life. I went into this, which is called sadhana in yoga, when you do your daily practice. You're waking up early morning and you do yoga.
What do you?
So
Oh, what kind? I mean, like, so you do yoga as soon as you get up in the morning. You do yoga for like
and
what?
It was,
Like an hour or what?
At the beginning, I did the hour, but you know, I was a person who liked to sleep a lot. So usually I wake up at 10 o'clock. So I was lazy, and And I wanted to try how it is to make a practice how the scripture says before the sunrise and so on. So I start to move my waking up hour before and hour before, and I end up with 3 a.m. practicing yoga for 2 hours or 3 even,
Wow.
depending on the day. Yeah, so it's
Well,
kind of
I cannot
strict
relate to that. I tried yoga one time. I bought a book and because I was traveling, and I thought I'd try it, in the hotel. I lasted about 10 minutes, so I can't relate. But it must be like I guess because of the poses, that the body does. So it's already like a meditation, I guess. But because the body is part of the meditation, I would think that would be maybe why it's different or why it's an enhanced experience. Because I've talked to a lot of people that do yoga, and they get, not all of them, but enough of them, they get a real powerful kind of thing. Like a lot of people started with Reiki, but a lot of people also started with yoga.
Yeah, yoga for me is it's connected to sacred geometrics in the body,
Mm-hmm.
and there's certain postures connected with the breath and consciousness when you really take practice with your full consciousness, when there is no thought, just you are in the body fully, directing breath through the position and relaxing all the muscles. There are just some muscles which are tense, and you can stay in position for really many minutes or even hours if you like to. And it's really opening like our geometrics in the body, but the person must be conscious and know what she's or he doing with it.
Is there another way to do it that we can do, like energetically, or some other way? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I did it. I wanted to do handstand and I couldn't, and I was trying to do it with my mind, just to.
Okay.
I was visualizing
Yeah.
that I'm handstanding, and I was tried after a month, and I did it. So you can do.
Yeah, I know a couple of ladies. One of them, her name is Honey Nguyen in Australia, I think in Perth. She puts up a lot of really cool videos, and she does that. And she stands on one hand, like, or she'll or a headstand. That's crazy. Or she'll put her legs up here, like some crazy stuff.
I'm not the person like this.
So
no,
now, do you have? So you have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
And how old is she?
12 years old now.
What is it like going through this ascension, or whatever you want to call it? What is it like going through it with a 12-year-old?
Wow.
A young woman, basically.
I'm single mom, during all the time I'm alone from the beginning till now with all the things. So it's really challenging for me. And I really went through the most intense time when I start to, I call it like soul embodiment, when, the energy of our soul coming in the body and the body start to changing. So it's really hard physically. I went through all the stuff with her, so it was funny because one day she just saw me in the bed and I really couldn't move. I felt this energy coming through my head and huge headache, and I had this thought, okay, I have to move this energy down through the spine, and I did it, and I stopped to move at all. And she, 5-year kid, she was bringing me tea to the bed. Bami, I help you, I bring you tea. So she was, take caring for me. But she's my teacher. She's showing me so many things about myself, where I am in this path, because what I believe, relationship, how we are in the other beings, this is real spirituality, like real life. It's real spirituality, not flying somewhere, you know, to the stars or somewhere else,
Yeah.
just how you live. So she always like see where I am, so she can catch me when I'm in my ego. She's like, "Mommy," she's saying me all the things. Yeah, so it's interesting.
Wow. Wow, that's... And you mentioned with the soul coming into your body, like how long ago was that, and how did that change your, you know, like your experience? Like your daughter changes it, like even like what happened with your marriage or other, you know, the trauma from your childhood. Were you able to have a different outlook on it? Has it changed you?
You mean my daughter or
No,
my soul?
I mean you. Like
Soul
when,
embodiment
yeah,
process?
your own embodiment. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, you know, this is what we call in like 4D, this polarity stuff going on, like moving from heaven to the hell inside. You know, I start this in my teenage time, and it was long. It ended up maybe 2016, 17.
Okay.
But from 2014, 14th, I start to experience these body changes, and I start to experience bliss kind of states. Like I had this states which I feeling that I'm love, that I was going outside and I see love, that all people are just so beautiful. I was singing all around, seeing the clouds, and I was so happy and blissful. And the day after, or just at the beginning, it was 5 minutes later, I was lying on the bed crying or
Right.
going through different emotions. It was quite intense. It took me some time to relax in this, just allow to the flow of emotions, because
Okay.
you know I suppressed a huge part of myself from this teenage time and my early 20s. I wanted to forget myself, you know, like
Yes.
these parts of me which done the stuff I didn't like.
Did it stop at the teenage years? It didn't for me. No, but no, this is good stuff because, like the way you're explaining it, because I believe it's true for all of us. Even at this point, there might be things coming up that have been repressed and emotions that have been repressed with it. A lot of this stuff is coming out, so this is important for people to hear. This has happened to you, and you said something about, I guess, you know, it took some getting used to, and I think a lot of people could probably relate to that. And we're getting used to it now. And you mentioned that you just started to allow the emotions to flow and stuff. But I don't know if you could just speak a little bit more about that, because I do think that people, and I've been saying this for a long time, I don't know if it's true. Like the hardest thing about this whole thing is getting used to it, you know, because it is a totally different kind of a field of frequency. And I could use some extra advice as well. I mean, what does that feel like? What was that experience like, allowing your emotions to flow? And could you just talk about that a little bit?
Well, maybe I start with how it was when I was resisting, because we used to resist like the emotions like anger, sadness, grief. We resist this because we are taught that these are bad emotions, you know. Nobody wants to be sad, crying, or being
Right.
angry because you are a bad person or an unhappy person. So for me it was like I need to let go of judging emotions, first
Right.
of all.
Right.
And let them flow, because when I was resisting them, it was really hard to go through this. They just took me down and to the hell and keeping me there
Right.
until I was ready to feel them fully. So I find out that when I let go and I start to experience them without thinking about them, just feeling, like vibrations. Sometimes I can hear the sound, like thoughts also. So I just let go and feel them,
Right.
like how it is in my body when I feel, for example, anger. It's like fire. So I just am with this, and just letting go to, okay, accept this is how I am now.
Right.
I don't know where it ends. It's okay. And when I start to do this way, just not pushing away the feelings, it start to be easier for me. It start to be like more flowy. It was like flowing through me. And sometimes few minutes later, when I allow to happen emotions fully, I come back to this state of harmony,
Right.
being good.
It takes like all the personal out of it. I'm not as adept, but I'm getting there, and I think a lot of us are. I've never really listened to someone explain it the way you do, which is real easy to understand. Because I remember at the end of 2019, I started to sit with my emotions. And then it's been like you're talking about. It's been this whole long progression, which eventually has gotten to a point where they're not as strong. You know, like sometimes emotions would just come in like boom, right? And so they don't do that so much. But when they do come, and I sit with it, I'm almost immediately, which wasn't the way it used to be, almost immediately I'm just with the emotion. I'm not even thinking about the person or something that happened or whatever it was, right?
Yeah, do you know this last, like from 2020, when the pandemic started, I just heard this voice inside my head, and it was talking to me the same thing. Stop thinking, just feel it. Allow it to flow and feel it. And I start to practice this all the time, whenever it was happening, whatever I was doing. And that shifted me into another dimension with my emotions. It's like now I can feel them on the one layer of my existence when they happen, but they don't take me. It's like, I don't know how to explain, even in Polish, you know.
They're not leading you anymore, I guess. Like if you look at the emotions from where we've come from, when they would come in, it would be like to me, it's like we have all this energy, and it just goes out there like wild. Some people would say that that's how this was designed, and that other higher awareness beings or whatever would basically take our energy, like food. But now we're learning to do what you're talking about. So that energy's still there with the emotions, but we're using it. You know, we're not resisting it, and we're allowing it to be part of our life, and it's an energetic force that we've never really been in balance with. So it's a powerful thing. I consider it to be the alchemy of the human being, to take our emotions, which are out of control, we're in resistance, so they just become like this chaos with our own energy, and when we bring it in, maybe that's oneness. You know, maybe that's oneness, is being one with our emotions and being whole.
Yeah, but also, I look at this like how you can get out from polarity experience, like 4D, like moving from one polarity to another. It's this way, just allow emotions to flow. And how I can see this is that if you resist, if you have judgments about your experience, emotions also, you are moving, you have to move from one to another, like from sadness to joy. You have to fulfill experience with one. You have experienced one emotion, then you have to move. You don't have the choice. You have to move to another one to experience another one. And when we can do this without judgment, just this flow, which we're talking about, the emotions is flowing, the energy is coming back, because it was our soul energy was stuck in the experience of emotion and what we experience, right? The remembering of things. And now it's really released, so it's coming back to us, like in pure energy, pure soul energy.
I mean, I'm listening to you, and this is like, so for one thing, I never thought about it, but we always have an emotion. I guess when we go into meditation, is that an emotion? Maybe not, but I can see what you're talking about, like in the rhythm. Like if you go from sadness, you sit with the sadness, it dissipates, it goes away, and now you're in, peace or bliss, right? So there's always like this, and I see now a little bit better what you're talking about with the, letting them run. And then,
in 4D, it's like moving like this, from one side to another.
Mm-hmm.
And when we allow it to flow, we move like to higher dimension, to 5D, when you are really between these polarities, and you can experience both sides, but pure state, and the energy come back, and you like shifting yourself into another vibration. And we still feel here, but it's more feeling, not emotions, because it's not.
I see what you're saying. It's still, the energy's still there. It's a feeling. It's more of like the emotions are all of it. And the other thing too is like what you're talking about. There's a difference between bouncing between polarities and duality. Like duality is the distortion of polarity on the earth. That's like the part that made it so difficult. And so now, as we've realized, like, what's the difference? Because what is duality but a distorted polarity, one that's illusionary or one that has programs or whatever. So now polarity is a part of our path. Duality was not. That was some kind of fuck up or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? But and maybe that was maybe that's why they say Earth is the toughest school. But anyway, regardless of that, we've solved it, and now we're in that space you're talking about. We're starting to find ourselves more and more in that space that you're talking about, in between the polarities, experiencing them both, right?
Yeah, both at the same time. It's quite amazing, because, like, I give you example. My daughter is 12 years old, so it's getting into her teenage. So she changes her behaviors, and I'm sometimes surprised how she can talk to me and stuff. So she sometimes make me angry, like I have to.
You're kidding.
This. You know, it's happening like one time a month, but
Yeah,
it's
no, I had
happening.
4 daughters. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm a man, so I can't even imagine, female to female. That's too high level for me. I wouldn't even know how to keep up with that. But yeah,
No, but I have to be kind of a father for my daughter because
yeah,
she doesn't have this experience. For me, it's hard, like being this tough. No, you can't do this. But now I have to do this, and I feel this kind of anger coming to me, like she's pushing my boundaries uh, time to time. I have this like anger, I would say, like few years ago, there's anger coming, but I feel the energy, the vibration, the fire. I feel this power coming to me, and now I have a choice. Do I, scream to her, even though sometimes I take my voice up. For her, it's like screaming. It's quite powerful. Like I use the energy of emotion to like
right,
set
right.
in this way, like, anger to set boundaries. To say no.
To get the point across. And maybe that goes away, maybe they're going to teach us. I don't know. I just think the young people are going to teach us a lot. Just like you're talking about how she teaches you.
Yeah, she
It
does.
Yeah, like, do we have to raise our voice anymore? I mean, I'm learning this. I'm 60 years old, still coming to terms with this. The consequences or the effects of this programming is so across the board in all the things that we do. The way we talk, the way we engage each other, the things that we just do because we were taught to do it,
Yeah, yeah.
like really, I mean, like opening doors for women, doing things for men. I mean, just all these different things, right? And in some parts of the world, you wouldn't do things that you do in the other parts of the world. There's just so many subtleties, I guess. And I think a lot of that's coming out right now too. Is like how where we find like, oh wow, I'm carrying this frequency and I didn't even know it, or I have this pattern of behavior and I don't even know it. There's a lot of for me. There's not. I'm being funny, but this year there's been a lot of wow. You're stupid. You didn't see that? You've been doing that all this time? But I mean, there's been a lot of moments where you go, wow, I was really blind to that. And I don't know about for you, but a lot of people that I've interacted with on the show and just the few I might privately, this has been really intense these last, like since June.
Yeah, it was. The um, in August, I just saw like the huge garden of my my how to say beliefs, my beliefs.
Right?
And I couldn't see them. It was like the veil coming down, and I was like shocked. Oh my gosh.
Was that the end
I'm
of
thinking
August?
then,
Was it?
yeah, it was second part of the August, yeah.
Yeah, that's where everybody said the end of August was just like brutal. Like I think it was like from the 22nd through like the 3rd of September. I don't know the exact, and people had different dates, but that seems to be when everybody got their clock cleaned. Did you go through? Was it
Yeah,
very intense for you?
um, not really. Independ what you mean intense. Um,
Well,
these last 2 years, I'm going through things differently than I was before. It's still intense, but in different way.
right.
Physically, it's not so much intense. Oh, I had in June I had maybe this like 1 week process with my belly, mm, and I connect this with the sun and with like the sun rays, photonic light, and and solar flares. Like my body was just shut down. My organs was shut down. I couldn't eat.
Wow.
I was going to toilet like all the time. When I drink something, I just go to toilet to give it away. So, and it was quite painful for 10 hours. And after this, I couldn't eat for 1 week. And I start to feel that I can easily go through this solar flares activity. It was not making me nosy and tired. It's way easier now. And I post this film on my Polish YouTube channel, and many people was writing to me. They were going through the similar thing. Like our body is really changing, and our soul doing the changes, but also the sun activity, earth is changing. So it's a lot of things going on. It's so vast.
Yeah, no kidding. So is there, you said something about a Polish speaking post, or, people, whatever,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But like in Eastern Europe, in Poland, some of the countries that don't have the, that people know less about, let's just put, like Germany, everyone knows about Germany and England and whatever. But are there a lot of people like us, a lot of weirdos and crazy people that are talking about these things and writing about these things on the Polish only Facebook or whatever?
Yeah, there is lots of people, but I see also like this spiritual matrix, like people going to the stuff like different races, and it's not so much thinking about soul embodiment and going to unity consciousness. I see like some people stuck in the old spiritual world.
Yeah. I mean, we see that here. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess we see it everywhere. I just hadn't really thought about it from like, I wonder if in Japan, where you only can write in Japanese and whatever the social media is or whatever it is, I just wonder how many, like, what does it look like? Is it the same everywhere? Is there like a little Soulogies everywhere, or you know what I mean, or that type of energy? Because so many of the people that come on the show and in these communities, 90% or 95% of their fellowship, like talking to people like this, is on the internet. It seems like it.
Yeah, there is many shows, like maybe not as yours, but there is many things going on, and like Polish people are trying to go back to the roots. There are some people who are digging into our history, because it was like really changed a lot. Like this, the historic scriptures were changed, and people like trying to find like
The real truth.
Yeah. So it's on many levels. It's like really different things are coming up to the surface, like everywhere, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I know some of my friends. Did some work on the grids here, and I'm also doing by myself when I feel it. So
Wow.
I think we are doing like, where you live, you do your work and you connect and work, and then we are connecting this in the web of life.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt that there are, not to differentiate from anyone, it could be everyone, I don't know. But there are people that talk about this all over the world, and there's a lot of similarities. Grid work is one of them, and there's no question in my mind that certain people are located in certain parts of the world for specific reasons, and there must be some type of geometry to that. And it's almost like they hold these positions until the grid fills up and becomes strong, and then the movement can be allowed. that's
Yeah.
going to be a part of our lives because we are embodying the soul, and the soul is a free flowing. It's the free energy of the universe. So I fully expect us to be able to move very freely, just like. And the only difference is we're in this form with the soul. But I find it interesting to even think about, like Poland. I know a bit about Poland. I don't know a tremendous amount about Poland, but I know about the revolution and, of course, World War II, and that's probably as far back as I can go. But the people there have had a whole different experience. And it's just,
Yeah.
I can't imagine growing up in that environment with the generations. Like let's say my grandfather was World War II, and then my father, and I'm living there, and then to be coming into the ascension. Because like we know the history's been, is lies. Like what are the lies in the Polish history? What are the people finding out? Do they believe in UFOs? Do they have UFO contact, alien contact? What do they think of witches? What do they think of using herbs? What do they think of GMOs and fluoride and chemtrails? I mean, I think that would be amazing to talk to people from different parts of the world and ask them, how's it going over there? And maybe it's the same everywhere.
Yeah, it is the same. We have chemtrails, we have, all the stuff is going on here. And on the one border, we have also Ukraine. So it was like beginning this year, it was like huge movement of Ukrainian people moving to Poland,
Wow.
refugees. And it was like huge shift of energy in the big cities.
So
I
did
remember-
the refugees? I didn't think about that. So you had a lot of Ukrainians come into Poland because of the war.
Yeah.
And then you said the energy in the big cities changed. Is that because the people all went to the big cities?
Yeah. They moved to the west. Some wanted to go, to West Europe, but many people stay and trying to live here. But there was a time that I went to Poznan, big city, when I do some of my workshops, and it was like, I don't know, maybe 1 week after the war began, and I could hear everywhere Russian language coming
Really?
out. I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, this is Poland or no? And energetically, it was like very dense, different energy. Now
That's
it's like
weird.
more settle down and
Oh, it is.
and change, but yeah.
But yeah, if you
It
think
was-
about it, like you were saying, from an energetic standpoint, rather than that's a powerful thing. And so, I didn't even think about how close you are to Ukraine. You're right on the border.
Yeah, I'm close.
It makes you wonder too. I mean, I don't really read that stuff. It's just what for. I mean, you don't know what's real. They're not telling you the truth. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to go. But I just wonder what's really going on over there from an energetic standpoint. It must be pretty important.
I also not going to the political stuff because 1 year ago I have this vision. I ask myself, okay, what I'm doing here? It's like a silly question, but I lay down and I had this vision that I'm standing in front of like huge modern buildings in big cities, like you have in New York or somewhere else, like this high
Really?
buildings, and they were melting down through lava, and I was like shocked. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm just watching as the old world is melting down, and next day I come back to that vision, and I push myself to turn around, and I saw like this huge cliff, and I couldn't see like the bottom, and the other side was like this blossoming earth, like
Really?
flourish, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, how I can go there, and I had this feeling that I can go in the air, that I will not fall down to this
Wow.
cliff. And I did it, and since then I just stopped to watch the things because I know that my work is different. I'm just connecting with Earth, and that's what I have to share with people.
Yeah. Well, you're hearing, in one way or another, more and more people saying, that's just not in my universe. That's not in my experience. I mean, one way or another, they're doing that, like what you're doing. And a lot of us here, I think. It's weird. It's really weird because it doesn't really have a charge like it used to. Things don't, you know what I mean? It's weird. I guess as we've gotten our emotions, like you explained, as they're starting to come into the natural flow of us, instead of us being resistant to a part of us, those, how would you say it? We get less emotional, or we see things clearer.
Well, I don't know. I would say that we evolve emotionally, like is the next level of emotionality.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I can feel them, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain with the words, but it is like this.
Well, I think that the what would you call it? The wider perspective, the higher perspective, whatever the situation is, we can look at it and go, at some level, that's a soul, chose their journey, and not from a judgmental way, just like they set this up, just like we set our life up before we came. Now, if you would have said something like that 10 years ago or 20 years ago to each other or to ourselves, like about some of the ugly stuff, war, sex trafficking, whatever, it wouldn't have stuck. But I think now it's starting to stick. We're embodying the soul, and we're starting to, like translate into the way we live our life. I mean, even with Ukraine next door and the disruption you had in the energy from the refugees and so on and all the stuff that's been going on, is your life kind of flowing better and better and better?
Yeah, we have some people in Poland is in fear, right? Like everywhere, I think. This what you said about like the choice. I think the souls took the choice, and now we're just looking like it's all revealing.
Revealing.
Did you understand?
Yeah.
Like like things has to happen materialize in our world. And you ask me about this year. Well, it's really intense. Really, last 2 years I had this. Like clearing my thoughts about my beliefs, what I'm doing and how I am, in my world.
Right.
Like I record these films, do my work with people on session in Poland and workshops. And I kind of start to have this feeling that I already said everything, that maybe I'm done with this,
Yes. Yeah.
And I start to push away these labels that I have to, sit and record that film because people need me. That start to be my kind of ego.
Right.
Talking to me that I have to do something now. I start to be more for myself, doing things for myself, being with myself. And this vacation, I did really vacation. The summertime, I did like 2 months break from work with people. And I give intention that I have to change something. If I will to do this, what I'm doing, it must to change somehow. And I'm doing what I was doing, but I'm changed inside me. Something changed. I feel like more vacation time, doing the work with people, and being mom. And the first part of this year was really kind of clearing on some subtle levels. And since August, I feel like we are start to creating from different level now. It's really important what we think. It's really so powerful. Now I can see when I think something, it's really happening.
Yeah.
Even strange things, like things appearing which I lost. You know, this is really powerful. It's like we can do everything if everybody can awaken to that state, or maybe even not everybody, but if we gain this understanding that we are powerful being and we are part of our planet, we are part of her, we are not separated.
Yeah.
Everything will change.
Yes.
What I feel. Yeah.
I mean, either some people are going to start doing it and it's going to catch on. You know what I mean? Like, that's what would make sense to me. Like, it you know, if you have illumination, it like a fire. It's either that or there's a group of people, apparently, that are either batshit crazy or they've come here, and forget the narratives, but just based on like what's happening, like what's been going on, what do we have in common. There's a bunch of people that are kind of like planted, you know, on the earth to stabilize and expand a frequency. I don't know, but it feels to me like with what you're talking about, with us starting to get into the flow or to include our emotions without judgment and resistance in our lives and everything that's coming from that. There's many of us doing this. It seems to be from inside of us, that, or you said the soul embodiment, but that it's starting to get to a point where we're going to see some real changes that everybody's going to know about. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see it going much longer. I mean, it's just, there's no way. It's like a bubble that's got to burst or something.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if you watch my film. I sent you the link. You watch that film?
I'll watch it now.
You?
I'll watch it. Hang on, let me see.
Okay, look, so Gaia, our planet, showed me this, that she changed her consciousness, moved to 7th dimension now, in the end of August. And
is this okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I just pulled up the video. I just wanted to go ahead. Okay,
so when last time she showed me the shift, and it was 2019, 11/11 getaway, I saw at that point, like, I felt what was feeling and saw this dense clouds of energy,
okay,
moving from the ground, from the earth up, and it was unpleasant feeling, and I was thinking, wow, what is it? What is it? So I went out and connect with her and asked her. She told me, please lay down, go back home, lay down, and I show you. And I had this experience when I saw like her DNA moving through my body, through my spine, revealing like the kind of history of her and what's going on. And she showed me that she had many, more than we can imagine, experiences, like civilization going up and down. These civilizations which were connected to her, and this one which were really disconnected, like our civilization now is really disconnected to the planet. And she showed me that was her experience too, that she was going through this dualistic experience,
right,
as a being,
Right.
That's why it was possible for us to experience this. And now she's finishing this. 2019, she showed me that she is destroying the grids from 3D and 4D.
Right.
These dualistic ones, and at the same time she showed me that she will not sustain the body which are holding these grids. So everybody was pushed to to do the work, you know. And after a few months we had pandemic started, and things in the world start to be dense and chaos, like, you know, dark night of the soul in the
Yeah.
collective.
Or a funny night of the soul, because there's so many things that are. When I do look at the news, sometimes it's just, you look at something and you go, "Wow, that's just funny." Like it's so cartoonish. I mean, it's so like the president. I mean, you know, like having a president. It's like everybody in the whole world is kind of like ignoring, like they're trying to like present something, and it's beautiful, that nobody really makes an issue of, or however you want to put it. It's like the emperor with no clothes, that old story, you know. And then the little kid goes, "Hey, he's naked." But it's really, you know, the polarities are really unique because they have distortion. Like one of them is a full-blown distortion, and the other one is a full-blown, you know, being of white light experience. And these are the things that we're kind of bringing together, and it's crazy. There's so many different polarities. It's insane.
Yeah.
But so like it sounds like you're very, you know, in a relaxed state now. You know what I'm talking about? Like, since this whole thing with August, I think a lot of people can relate to what you're talking about. Like choosing yourself, taking time for yourself, but still doing what you're doing, but doing it in a new way. Like maybe some of the things that you do with your work you no longer do, or you don't have the belief system like you were talking about. I think a lot of people have been through that in the last few months, where they're going, what am I doing? And why do I do this? I mean, I went away last month, and that was part of it. Am I going to come back and keep doing Soulogy? Like, you know what I mean? That's where our we've been stripped down to. But anyway, I love this metaphor, not metaphor, this vision, this communion you have with Mother Earth. And the thing I love about it the most is she's explaining to you that she's just like us. She's an experiencer. So she is not a victim. She is not a perpetrator. She is an experiencer. She's just a big soul, you know, as we're big souls, right? I mean, and I think that's really important, because even if you look at climate change, or, you know, or fracking for oil and gas, or, you know, even too much light is not in the 0 point. Too much dark is not in the 0 point. It's got to be all of it. So there's a lot of narratives out there, like, where there's really the only purpose of it is to create division. Oh, I'm pro-life, I'm pro.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? Pro-abortion, or whatever it is. So,
you know, she was showing me this that we are part of her body, that we just don't realize that, even though some people are awakened, start seeds. Most people want to just get out from Earth because it's hard experience. Like, we are visitors, like the thoughts people had. But she's showing me that we are part of her body. We are, like, she has flora, animals, and different parts of her, which we could compare to our body. Like, we have the heart and the liver and the veins and so on. So, like, these other kingdoms of the life on Earth are the parts of her being, and we are also part of her.
Right.
Like we are one of the organs from her body. And what she's showing me, it's like we are beginning to awaken that consciousness in us, that we are one with her, that we need to connect with her to start build another world from that point for the all beings. And she also explained me which organ we are, but it's hard to it's hard to explain because it's something between heart, higher mind. She's showing me that we are kind of this electromagnetics, which are like conduits of energy, transmitting energy to the cosmos, different star systems, and from that transmitting energy to the earth. And we should like balancing all the kingdoms together.
Yeah.
So, and we are also creators, so I don't know how it will be look like, but it's kind of powerful.
Yeah.
Or no,
It's
rule we
badass.
have here.
That's a, I mean, yeah. Whatever you said, I mean, you can feel it. Almost like we're the glue or something. Or the, I don't know. Like, I think of electric and magnetic, obviously, right? And like, just as she is, we are part of her body, what do we have inside of us? How many earths are inside of us? How many, you know what I mean? It's just like it goes on forever. It's that whole connectivity. So it's, but yeah, I think being on the planet, well, she is a closer version of all of it. I don't know how to explain it. Oh, like a mother, really. Like a queen bee.
Yeah, but it's kind of different thing. We just need to shift to this. We are one with her.
Right.
It's different. Like she is our mother, so it's like another being just taking care of us. It's more like we are part of her body. We are part of her. It's really being one with her.
Right.
You know, when I go outside, this year also is shift for me because I can feel the energetic field of the trees, and they are like saying hello to me, just tingling in my aura, and I can be so connected with the nature, with the sounds and everything what alive around me, that animals coming very close to me. They just are like shocked when they are just facing my face. They are like, oh, here you are.
I think there's more and more of that. There's more and more of that happening.
Yeah.
So my friend was saying to me over here outside of Sedona, we were talking, and she's like, why are the animals keep coming into town? I don't understand. You know, it's you see it happening all over the place. Now, this video that you were telling me about, hang on a second. I want to ask you about it. Okay. This one here, right? You see it?
Yeah.
So this video, what's going on Earth right now? Is it you did this in English, and is this now? Let's see. Is this one? Okay, this is from 3 weeks ago. So this is what you were talking about earlier. Like you're explaining in this video what she told you. No.
I said most about what I experienced 2019, and I didn't have video there about this.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that she moved to 7D right now with her consciousness, because I did some energetic work in the grids in the Polish mountains, and afterwards and it was August. Afterwards I couldn't hear her anymore because I'm really connected to her and I can talk with her, so it was like strange to me where she's gone, you know. And in September I started to looking for her, like, oh, maybe she moved, like dimension.
Uh-huh.
She's different dimension now, and I start to connect and move my consciousness between dimension, and I found her in 7D. And it's quite powerful because now she's changing, she's building her new electromagnetics. Like I saw this, her core, and it was really plasma, like in Zoop, very active plasma. And around the Earth, there was the field she started to build. Now after this few weeks, it's looking different. There we have another layer there. But why this is important, why I say this, because last time when she shifted so much, we had like this pandemic start to occur. Now I believe that we are just before another big shift, which will be seen like physically here. She's pushing us like to another dimension now. So energies start to be like, clearing, dancing, and so on. I feel what I feel when I'm connecting with her on 7D. It's hard for me being home, do it at home, because of Wi-Fi and this electromagnetic.
Oh, like distractions, interference.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I'm outside, it's easy. It's really like in the heaven, like you are just so light, and
I want to hear more about this. We need to hear more about this. This is very recent too. I'm going to go watch this video. It's 15 minutes long. I think the other thing we need to do, we need to extend the show to 90 minutes from now on. I feel like there's not enough. Like when you come in and you want to talk about something, any of us, we try to just keep it like a conversation here. But I'm finding that because we're allowing it to happen, it takes a little longer to get all the information. But yeah, what you're plugging into and what you have to say, I think is very important. So for the second time this week, I'm gonna reach out to somebody that just came on and see if you can come back on like in a few days, so we can talk about this whole thing that you're talking about in this video, and really what you're getting in the present, right, or the near past. Like,
okay.
It feels like it's. So we'll do that. But let me ask you one more question before we go. The reason I have to go is because I have another show in 20 minutes, and I have to go to the restroom.
Okay.
I've been holding it like a little boy. So she's showing you what she's doing, and whether we're doing it with her or one thing's for sure, it feels like no one's going with her unless they're carrying the same frequency. But like, what's your feel? How do you feel? Or what may have she said, or your feeling on where it's headed? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you feel like that we're going to get to a point soon or later or whatever where everyone is going to know what's going on? Like where everything just stops. Kind of like a Ascension 9/11. Not a solar flash and all that, or you know what I mean? But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, did you get a sense that the 3D, 4D, whatever is going to be gone totally soon?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
It will. And she's showing me this, that there is no way that 3D, 4D will stay here. She's ascending her.
Right.
So we have to ascend with her, or we are choosing, different way. We will go to different worlds to experience what we need to experience for our evolution. So it will happen, but I don't know when. I know something big happening physically now, but what?
you-
I don't know.
Do you feel like, okay, so we're just coming to the end of this eclipse corridor, right? From the 25th through the 8th. Do you feel anything really, are you feeling anything out of the ordinary that's coming right after that?
No. You know, I was, at this week, I was so stressed about talking with you here live that I was, you know,
Yeah, you weren't thinking about anything.
my
Well,
ego was telling me, hello, here I am. So I don't really know, because for me, it was really taking the shift within myself to appear in the world.
yeah, I got you.
So when we talk next time, probably I will be more relaxed and
Yeah.
and
That's what I mean. We get to the point where, like, you know, we just let it all hang out, and then you get to a point like in 45 minutes where you get that frequency where it's like transparent, you know, like you're almost like in a field of channeling. And yeah, so that's why I think it's probably better if we can go to 90 minutes on these shows. So I'll start adjusting the schedule. Yeah, it feels right. It feels right to me. So listen, Dorota, just I'll reach out to you. We'll finish the conversation. We'd love to hear about it. And I would encourage everybody to get over to, and because I'm going to do it, and I don't watch stuff too much. But this is What's Going On Earth Right Now. It's on her channel in English. There it is. Yeah, I already subscribed. And we'll see her in a few days. And thank you so much for coming in. We've been on 1 hour and 11 minutes. Go figure that.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you so much, and best to you and your daughter and all your loved ones. And I'll talk to you soon, and we'll finish this conversation. Peace out, everybody. We'll be back in 18 minutes.
Bye.